Hi, welcome to Not Enough Time, a new channel about watches. Each video, I'm going to feature a watch from my own collection. I'm going to share my personal journey, what I love about the watch, what resonates with me, what other options I considered, and what would I change. In this first video of Not Enough Time, I'm featuring the Piaget Polo S Chronograph, but specifically the version you see here, the blue and white Panda version with the blue rubber strap. Piaget produced this as a limited edition run in 2021 with only 888 watches created. It's a 42mm automatic watch featuring chronograph and date. There's a few things that I particularly love about this watch, which is why I chose it. Firstly, that colour combination. It really pops for me. The blue rubber strap, the silvery white dial, the sunburst blue sub-counters. That really stands out for me, much more so than, for example, a traditional chronograph or even a black and white Panda chronograph. Secondly, the legibility. One of the things I find a lot with many chronographs is they're very, very busy. A lot of numbers, they look very complicated. This is very legible. It's not a crowded dial. Thirdly, that dial itself. You'll see horizontal lines across the dial which gives it this silvery white glow that actually really picks up the light. And secondly, again, that sunburst blue where you'll see different shades of blue under different lights. It's a lovely looking dial. Fourth, the quality of the finishing here. You'll see the case is beautifully brushed and polished stainless steel. I'll show a video later which will show this in more detail, but it is beautiful quality finishing. Fifth, this is a fun watch for me, particularly with the blue rubber strap. It's something that you can kind of wear out during the day into the evening. It's a watch to have fun with. The watch is waterproof to 100 meters, and I particularly bonded with this watch over a summer holiday where I wore it in the pool. I took it to the beach, swam in the sea, but then afterwards went on to the beach bar, had some drinks, carried on into the evening, and it was really a kind of day into evening versatile watch. It's a sports watch, but it's a little bit dressy, it's a little bit different. And lastly, yes, it does look a little bit similar to whether it's a Patek Philippe, Nautilus, or perhaps more considering the rubber strap, the Aquanaut, but it's a fraction of the price. But let's not forget, in the history of watchmaking, Piaget has had its own unique identity, brand and story. Polo epitomizes luxury and sport, and Piaget introduced the Polo line in 1979 in, let's face it, responses to changes in fashion and demand, following shortly after Audemars Piguet's Royal Oak and the Patek Philippe Nautilus. The Piaget Polo at that time was very distinct and very much its own watch. It was a very elegant, sports, dress watch, and there are many admirers from the world of entertainment, including Sammy Davis Jr., as well as Ursula Andress. The line has evolved significantly today and includes a number of different dial colour and interchangeable rubber, leather strap and steel bracelet variants. The black rubber strap is a new 2022 model, but aside from the blue and white chronograph that I'm featuring today, the other standout for me from the collection is this green and gold variation, which, to be honest, I'm looking forward to purchasing whenever I'm able to. So whilst these look very different to their heritage of the original Piaget Polo from 1979, these are still very beautiful watches, and to be honest, I'm surprised, given the very high quality finishing and movements, that we don't hear more about them. But I also like the fact that they are underappreciated gems, which, along with having great dials, that underappreciated gem is a key criteria for me when choosing watches in my own collection, and certainly the watches that you'll see that I'll feature on this channel. It's not that I don't admire and appreciate many other iconic brands and models, I do, but I love the almost bespoke nature of Piaget. They only produce 25,000 pieces a year, that's inclusive of watches and jewellery, In contrast, Patek Philippe produced well over double at 60,000, and that's just watches, and Rolex over 40 times as many, with nearly 1 million watches produced a year. For comparison, Audemars Piguet sit between Piaget and Patek Philippe in terms of their production at around about 40,000 watches per year. But again, that's just watches. Piaget's 25,000 figure is across watches and jewellery. And why do I emphasise this? Well, I enjoy wearing a watch that's a little less known and a little less mass market. Something that has had excellent luxury quality finishing, certainly has that heritage and history, but when you wear it, there's a little less risk that you're going to be robbed, at knife or gunpoint compared to, wearing a Nautilus, a Royal Oak or a Daytona, which is much more of a statement, look at me piece. Yet the Piaget Polo line has still retained a few celebrity admirers, both male and female. This includes the actor Ryan Reynolds, who's been a brand ambassador, as well as the likes of Ben Affleck and musicians including Puff Daddy, Rihanna and Alicia Keys. They're all fans of Piaget. So it's an underappreciated luxury brand for the watch connoisseur interested in wearing the less obvious and the less well-known choice. And let's not forget also that Piaget have been making watches and their own movements for well over 100 years, and that includes the separate Altiplano line, which is amongst the world's slimmest movements in any watch today. So I wanted to share this watch as an underappreciated gem, and one which I have and will continue to enjoy. At £13,800, around about $16,000, no, it's not cheap, but for a watch with this nearly comparable quality of finishing, it's a fraction of the price and certainly not as hard to get hold of when you're comparing again to the likes of a Nautilus, an Aquanaut or a Royal Oak. And again, if you compare against chronographs across many broader brands, it's certainly one of my favourite Panda chronographs on the market. In terms of specs, it's 42mm case diameter, but it wears, to be honest, more like a 40mm, given the lugs are quite short, and lug to lug it's only 47mm across the wrist, so it wears very easily. And at just over 10mm thick, it certainly has presence without being too thick. It features Piaget's in-house 1160p automatic movement, which has 50 hours power reserve. And to be honest, if there's one thing I'd want to see Piaget change going forward, it is just that, extending that power reserve to closer to 70 hours, which really I feel is becoming the standard that we can expect. So if you like this video, please click like, add comments, and please subscribe to this channel. I'll be featuring similar videos on other watches and brands from my collection. Often you'll see there'll be the underappreciated gems, and I'll add them over the coming weeks and months. Thank you for your time, and hope you enjoy Not Enough Time.